What's going on, everybody? YL from RebelEars.com here again, checking in, giving you guys another inside look on how I mix my sessions. As you can see, I already got a session pulled up. Artists contacted me, said they wanted to get a session mix that I had recorded recently on the 1st of January. So we are finally getting to this song to mix. I kind of just left a few plugins just to kind of build on top of, but I am going to do this mix with all UAD plugins. Alright, so let's get into it. We'll play it real quick.
She know that she fucking a real one. They say them street niggas make the best love song. She know that she fuck with a real one. Shit be real. Shit get real. But you know it's always that one. That one. Come here. Come here. Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. Digging them.
Alright, so we're gonna jump into this hook, man. Alright, so this is my hook here.
Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one.
Alright, so this is my hook here. There's no man on it. Alright, first thing I want to do is go in here and give me a nice fade, right? So, of course, we know that's excess. Yeah. So I'm going to fade right up until the first major transient, which would be probably the first word.
Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one.
Alright, so that's where I'm going to do my first fade at, and then I always come in and do a second fade. Alright, so I have a fade on the end of that and a fade on the beginning of that. Now, alright, so first thing I like to do is EQ. Of course, if you've been watching my videos, then you know that I love to EQ. Alright, so that is my favorite thing to do first. And that's just to get, you know, a nice shape for my signal or for my vocals or whatever, you know, the signal may be, instruments or whatever. The only time I really put dynamics first is if, you know, the vocals were recorded really lowly or, you know, something like that. If I need to actually bring the vocals out first before I shape them, but usually if the vocals were recorded well, I recorded this track, this song, so the levels are just fine on here, so I can go straight into EQing. And the first EQ I am going to use, let's go into this UAD SSL E channel strip legacy. Alright, so I love any kind of channel strip. Channel strips, of course, they give you EQ, they give you dynamics, right? It's kind of hard to, you know, go wrong if you know what you're doing dealing with any kind of channel strip. Alright, so I like to come out with channel strip. Of course, I can work on my gain, my input and my output gain as well. I can do some pre-EQ, pre-dynamic type of stuff here. So it just gives me lots of options, and this is one of my favorite ways to actually shape. So what I'll do is I'll go EQ first and then bring dynamic in after that. So of course my dynamics is on. We're going to cut my EQ on and we're going to go pre-dynamics, right? So that means my EQ will come before my dynamics, meaning the EQ will come first and then it will jump into the compressor of the channel strip. Alright, so let's jump into that real quick.
Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one.
Alright, so almost automatically I already know that this artist has a deep voice, right? So the first thing I'm going to do, which is one thing I love about this plugin, are the filters. It's one of the first things that I do. I will put my own high pass or low cut filter on this thing to be able to just knock out probably like right at 100 sometimes, depending on tone of vocal. But for him, I'm gonna knock out right at probably like 100.
Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one.
All right, so this is without that filter.
Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, punch your head in the.
All right, so you can hear a subtle clarity start to show up in those vocals as we cut some of the lows out, because he already has a low pitch voice, and I talk about this a lot when mixing. Understanding the tone of voice for your artist, so you can mix their vocals in a way to they stand out and not clash with the instruments in the beat. All right, so I like that. All right, next thing I like to do, let's see, we'll go, let's get us a high. So we got a high filter here, but we're going to turn it into a bell, right? So we're going to turn this into a regular bell curve instead of actually using it as a shelf. We're going to use this as a bell, and I usually like to boost right at about 10K for vocals, especially low pitch, between 8 and 10, right? So let's just play with it. Let's say we're at 10 right now. We're going to boost maybe right at 2 dB or something like that.
Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she
without.
Fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow.
All right, so right there, really subtle. You can already kind of hear a slight difference. What I want to do is turn this beat down. Actually, I'm going to cut this beat down just for tutorial purposes. All right.
Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that.
All right, and as you can see, my levels are really healthy right here. We have not added dynamics yet, but levels are really healthy, so that's great. All right, and we're going to continue to go down. So as I shape my vocals with EQ, right, first thing I did was I cut out some lows, right? And then in the midst of me cutting out lows, I boosted a high, just a tad. You can barely tell, but just a tad, I boosted some highs, right? This is going to give me some playroom now to work with my high mids, my mids, and my low mids, right? I also have another low filter down here as well. A low frequency, I'm sorry, not filter, low frequency equalizer down here. This is my high frequency. It is originally a shelf EQ, but you have your bell curve button here to turn it into a bell of regular EQ. And then you can do the same thing here. You can turn this into a bell curve as well, but it starts out as a shelf, not filter, I'm sorry. High frequency, this is high mid frequency, low mid frequency, low frequency. All right, so now we're going to move along. Let's see, we did lows, right? We did our filter here. We cut out about 100. We boosted at around 9, 10K, just a tad bit. Now I'm going to go back down to my lows, right? Because as I'm listening,
digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one.
Still some mud in there.
She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one.
All right, so I'm still hearing a little mud. So what I want to do with that is I'm going to pull out probably like around, I'm going to go back to my lows because that's usually where your mud lives. So we're going to go back to the low frequency here. Going back to low frequencies. We're going to pull out probably like around 300, somewhere around there. We're going to pull out a nice amount. We're going to turn that into a bell. All right, and we're going to pull out a decent amount. We're probably going to pull out about almost, I would say about 4 maybe dB, a good amount just of that mud. Now let's take a listen.
Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one.
All right, so this is with everything we've done so far.
She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that
and this is without.
Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one.
Here it's a little bit more muddy. Right?
She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she.
All right, so we brought it up. We brought the presence out. It's a little bit more clear. It's a little bit more crisp. Put a little bit more air in it. Pull out some of the mud. Right? It's really simple in shaping vocals. I've showed basically the same concept when it comes to shaping vocals initially with so many different EQ plugins. This is no different, right? I just love using the channel strip. It gives me a lot. Dealing with mixing, you're dealing with processing, right? So if I can do a little EQ and a little compression all on one plugin, then why not do it, right? It saves me processing. I don't have to put a bunch of EQs and compressors on a track when I can use channel strips to shape what I need, right? All right. And like I said, this is only for shaping. You know, I have different EQs that I use for different reasons, different compressors for different reasons. This channel strip is to only shape what I have, all right? So now we're going to go into our low mids, right? Usually it's a lot of mud that lives right at 9 to 1K, right, for vocals. So we're going to, we're going to thin that bandwidth a little bit. We don't want to pull out a whole lot. We kind of want to pull out just those frequencies in that range. And we're only going to pull out just probably about 2 dB here. So let's take a listen to this.
Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one.
All right, so we got our crisp and our clarity. The last thing I want to do, because at the same time as we are taking away, right? Remember, anytime you're doing any kind of subtractive EQ, you're taking away in your EQ. Remember, you are taking away some of the signal. So it always works to put some of it back if you know how to do it, right? So we're going to widen up this bandwidth just a little bit so we can kind of get a nice wide variety range of frequencies, right? So remember where we cut at, right? We cut around 350 or so, 325. We cut at 100. We just did a full roll off at 100. We did a small cut at around 325 or so. We did a smaller cut around 900 or so. Now I'm going to go down here, right? Because he does have a lower tone, right? And you want to keep the body of his original tone, of his original vocals, and is deep like mine. So I'm going to boost right at about 750, 700, 750, right? It's also going to allow me to, from about, I would say probably from about 500 to 800 will also be affected. How much am I going to boost? Maybe 1 dB, right? Not a lot. Like I said, when you put it back, you don't want to put too much back because you're pulling out what you don't want to hear. But you add a little bit more back just to give that body back to the vocals.
Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one.
All right.
She know that she fuck with a real one.
So this is going to be without everything we just, this is without the EQs we just put in, right? This is just raw, no EQ.
Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one.
All right, so this is with the EQ. All the EQ that we just did, this is with the EQ.
Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, punch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one.
All right, so you hear the present. Now, if you pay attention, the original with no EQ is a little louder, right? Why? Because we've done mostly Subtractive EQ, we've been pulling out frequencies, pulling out what we don't want to hear in order to shape the vocals. Now guess what we do? Now that we got the shape and the tone and vocal that we like, that's decent enough for us to start out with, now we boost our signal just a tad. So now we're going to come over here to this dynamic section over here. This is my compressor, right? I also have a gate as well and an expander. All right, so we're going to cut our compressor on. Okay. Usually vocals live right at about 4 ratio. We're gonna let's do a very quick release on that because it's not like he's super pronunciating, so we don't want to kill too many transients with our compressor. All right. And then we'll play with the threshold as we see fit.
Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one.
All right. So, this is without. This is strictly raw.
Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one.
Alright, this is the shape that we just did. This is the EQs that we just put in, the compressor that we just put in, putting it all together. See the sound.
Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one.
You can hear the difference.
Digging them guts, touch your head in the pillow. She know that she fuck with a real one. She know that she fucking a real one. She know that she fuck with a real one. Digging.
Alright, so there we go. Really quick and easy. We just use the SSL E series channel strip legacy. It don't have to be the legacy. Either channel strip is fine. Every channel strip works the same way, right? It's all about understanding your artist, understanding where you want to go when it's time to use a channel strip. Ideally, for me personally, I would not use a channel strip further down in my mix. I'm not saying that you can't, right? It's a compressor and an EQ, right? So it's gonna work like a compressor and an EQ. Just the way I use my workflow, and then the way I like to line up my plugins. I mainly only use my channel strips at the beginning of my mixing chain, right? At the beginning of my plugin chain. So as you can see right here, really quick and easy. You hear the difference. I've done this a few times with different EQs. We've obviously starting to understand why and when to use the EQ. So I hope this helped you guys out. I hope this gave you a further understanding on why I use UAD. I love this particular plugin. I have more EQ and more compressors to show you in a minute.